Welcome back to the Tutorium in Intensive English. My name is Katie, and this is Intermediate Module 8. Today's pronunciation lesson is our final lesson on sentence stress. I should say final for now. I think that we will be dealing more with sentence stress in the future, but for our 3 modules that have dealt with sentence stress, this is going to be the last one for now. So just a quick review of what we've talked about in those last couple of modules. We've talked a lot about what content and function words are. We reviewed word stress and introduced sentence stress. And then we looked at how those two things affect the rhythm of English. Now, if you have not watched modules 5, 6, and 7, I do recommend that you go back and watch those now before continuing with module 8. All right, let's get started with the things that we're going to talk about today. So we're going to look a little bit more about what happens when we move stress around, how moving the stress in a sentence can alter the meaning of that sentence, right? Maybe we have something we want to show or different meaning, and we can use stress to communicate that to our listener. So the 3 types of stress that we're going to look at today are emphatic stress, contrastive stress, and new information stress. And don't worry, we're going to look at examples of each one of these to hopefully make them clear and distinct from each other. All right, let's go ahead and start with emphatic stress. Emphatic stress is just used, like it says here, to emphasize an idea. Emphatic, emphasize, right? And if you're not sure what that means to highlight or make something more, draw your attention to it than other things around it. So let's look at this example. That was a long movie. Now, when I say this with normal stress placement, I place primary stress on movie. That was a long movie. But let's say I want to shift that. I want to change what I'm focusing on, and I want to draw more attention to the fact that that was a long movie. That was a long movie, right? So now I'm using emphatic stress to draw attention to the fact that this movie was really long. That's an example of how we can use stress to emphasize something different than, what might normally be stressed in a sentence. All right, now contrastive stress, just like the name implies, can be used to show a preference or a contrast between things and ideas, or can be used to clear up miscommunication. We're going to look a little bit more deeply at each one of these examples now. So let's talk about showing a preference between 2 things or 2 ideas, or maybe many. It doesn't have to be 2. Let's say, for example, there are 10 pieces of cake in front of you. Okay, and you're trying to decide. Someone's like, which one do you want? And you're like, no, I want that one. I want that piece of cake. Maybe they were like, oh, this one. And you're like, no, that one. So you're contrasting your choices from each other. You're like drawing attention to yours away from the others. I want that piece of cake. Same thing, maybe there are a lot of papers in front of you, piles of papers, one's over here, and you say, oh, hand me those papers. And they're like, no, those papers. So they were maybe going to hand you the wrong papers, and you want to be very clear, hand me those. I want those papers, please. Thank you. Now we also, so there's kind of a little bit of a miscommunication in those, like maybe they were going to give you the wrong piece of cake, or they were going to give you the wrong papers, or maybe you just wanted to be really clear so that that didn't happen and single out your piece of cake or your pile of papers. Now, let's say that there was a miscommunication. We can also use contrastive stress to clear up a communication breakdown. Let's look at these examples. So I have this sentence here, I saw him yesterday. But let's say I want to stress, I saw him yesterday. I saw him yesterday, right? I saw him, not you. So maybe someone had thought like, oh, did she see him yesterday? And you say, no, I saw him yesterday. So you are contrasting. You're seeing him with no one else seeing him. Now, we can just keep moving the stress down the line. I saw him yesterday. I saw him. Maybe somebody thought that he called you on the phone. You said, no, no, no. We saw each other. I saw him yesterday. So now you're going to place the stress on saw. Maybe you want to stress him. If you stress him, we get the idea that before that, someone thought maybe you saw a different person, not this him. And you say, no, no, I saw him yesterday, him. So you're going to place the stress on him. And finally, yes, you guessed it. We could put the stress on yesterday. Now, in this case, maybe someone thought that you saw this person today or the day before yesterday, and you're saying, no, I saw him yesterday. So you want it to be absolutely clear that is when you saw him. So this is contrastive stress. Now, the last type of stress that we're going to look at today is new information stress. So think about this kind of stress when you're asking questions or someone's asking you questions and you have to give answers, right? And the new information that you give, that's the information that answers the question. That is the piece of information in your answer that's going to receive the most stress, the new information, the information that answers the question. For example, someone asked me, what's your name? I would say, my name is Katie. Now you can hear, I hope you can hear that Katie received the most stress. This is the new information in my answer. My name is Katie. What's your favorite food? Now now I have a lot of favorite foods, but I'm just gonna go with the popular one, pizza. I'd say, well, now notice I stressed one there too, because I wanna make it clear, I have a lot of favorite foods. One of my favorite foods is pizza. Notice this is different than if I just say my favorite food's pizza. Yes, I think that pizza might get a lot of attention, but when I'm answering a question, it gets even more attention, I think. My favorite food is pizza. Someone asks me, when are you eating dinner? I'm eating dinner at 7 o'clock. So here the new information is the time that I'm having dinner. So I'm going to stress 7 and clock. I'm eating dinner at 7 o'clock. And the last example, how much time do we have before class? And you would say, we have 15 minutes before class. So you're really stressing 15 minutes before class. That is our new information, so it receives the most stress. Okay, so that concludes stress for now. But before we go, I just want to, acknowledge the fact that stress is a really complicated thing in pronunciation. And, it's kind of always changing. It can change. There's a lot of exceptions. There aren't a lot of, constant rules. So this can be a little frustrating. So, take it easy on yourself. Don't beat yourself up if you're not, sounding like me right now. That's not even our goal, right? My advice is to first try to hear the stress timing of English. Now, we talked about this in Module 7. So if you need to go back and review what stress time means, go for it. But try to hear this. Try to hear the important content words. Focus on your listening first and really saying, oh yeah, I can hear the alternation of stressed and unstressed syllables. I think this will help improve your listening skills. And that will feel really great when you can say, well, okay, I'm focusing on the words that I'm hearing more, and those are the main ideas, and that's helping me from a listening standpoint. Now, the other thing for speaking, because speaking is going to take longer, it's going to take a lot of time. For controlled practice, I suggest maybe reading or singing aloud. This can be helpful. read a book out loud, sing your favorite songs out loud. You can kind of really feel stress on, song lyrics. Also, short videos, even like take a section of a video, a very short section, 20 seconds, and get a transcript of it and try to produce it in the same way as the speaker in the video. Try to mimic their pronunciation to help you feel the stressed, unstressed rhythm. All of these kinds of exercises can be helpful to help you internalize this English rhythm. But remember, you must be patient because it won't happen overnight. So be patient with yourself and just keep practicing. All right. And I will see you next time.